Welcome on back to Crude's Clinic. So, you're looking to play Alien. You're tired of getting this screen. You're looking to improve your gameplay, get some kills looking like this. I've got you. Don't worry. Here to help. Alien can be very unintuitive, be very daunting, very intimidating to play at first. I understand. Not the best class to play at starts, especially when you're trying to learn the game. I get it. Now, what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to give you an in-depth guide on how to play the Alien, how the kits and abilities work, and how they interact with the different mechanics of level 0 extraction. With this, the goal is to improve your gameplay and hopefully get you some kills looking like this. Alright, with that, let's begin. Let's begin with the egg trap. This is your typical jump scare trap that can be placed on a flat surface and has a small AoE trigger range. The way this trigger works is as follows. The egg goes down, and within this ring displayed on the ground is what a merc needs to enter in order to set off your egg trap. However, this ring is more of a three-dimensional sphere than it is a two-dimensional ring displayed in game. This means one thing, and it's huge to your egg placement. It means that you can place eggs on top of shelves, below stairs, within bushes, or even within the vents in a ceiling. The trick to the egg is that you want to prioritize placing these eggs in abstract places that the mercs aren't going to be looking for. Another strength that you can use is abusing the way the human mind works. You put some eggs in an obvious spot, the mercs shoot them, they get this false sense of security that they've cleared out the area of eggs. However, you have some eggs nearby those ones that were obvious, hidden in abstract locations, and they walk into those. Now, most mercs will crouch around the map. The reason for this is because your eggs don't trigger unless they like step on them at that point, because crouched mercs give immunity to your eggs. This is where you come in. If you have an egg nest set up and you see mercs are crouch walking through your egg nest, that is where you come in to pressure them, forcing them to stand up and try to avoid you from hitting them. This causes the eggs now to be a compounding problem tied to their fight to get distance from you, as well as to get a light source on you. Next is your slime spit. This ability has a ton of utility. This gives you some range, but is not your main source of damage. If you were relying on your spit to give you your damage to kill and down mercs, they will escape 99% of the time. So stop. I don't know what you heard in the past, but no, stop. That's not what it's for now. Your spit is for two uses. The primary and main focus of your spit is to put out flares. These are flares that the mercs are holding, that they've thrown, or that they've put in a corner to prevent you from pushing them and make space so that they can get away. Mercs will take full advantage of the moment you use it by spamming flares. You have to be very smart about how and when you use your spit. Second use for your slime spit is to simply tag downed players to try and confirm a kill. You can also use it to tag other merc players and get chip damage in. My personal favorite is when they're using the med stations and they're sitting there still shooting this drug into their arm and it's making a bunch of whirring noises. Spit on them. It's funny. Now, again, it's not your primary source of damage. Do not rely on it as your primary source of damage. The ideal use of spit is as a combo item. Think of it like Street Fighter, right? You want it as a combo item. So, for example, you EMP a merc's flashlight. Their next step is to pull out that flare. And that is what you need to save your spit for. Ideally, you have taken a huge win in removing resources from the mercs if you did not down or kill that merc. On top of this, by spitting out that flare the merc pulled out, it keeps you in the fight longer and allows you to apply more pressure to that merc or merc team, increasing your chances of killing and or downing that merc. Now on to one of your most powerful abilities. This is an ability that you will get last at your highest point of energy during a raid. The Scream Wave provides you with one of the most powerful engage tools at your disposal. It's a combo within itself. It both slows down mercs, it prevents them from swapping items, it prevents them from turning around, used ideally when you're behind them to get in free damage, or you can save it after you've already engaged to keep getting in that solid damage with little resistance. Now, I know, it sounds really strong, and believe me, it is. But the best time to use it is on an initial push to prevent the mercs from being able to react to your presence and get in that damage to either kill or down a merc. The key thing to mention with your Scream is it's not a guaranteed kill merc button. It doesn't guarantee your kill. And if you believe it does that, it will get you killed 9 out of 10 times. Now, this debuff given to the mercs within the effective range, it only lasts for 7 seconds. You have 7 seconds to take advantage of it. And I know it sounds like a lot of time, but believe me, in practice, it's not a very long time. So use this tool when within melee range to maximize both your damage output and its effect, allowing you to get the best possible outcome in the engagement. Your second strongest ability is your EMP. This ability requires a ton of energy, so use it sparingly and use it very wisely. The reason I say this is because if it is not done properly, it can cost you. It may not get you killed, but it's going to cost you a ton of health, it's going to cost you a ton of energy, and you're not going to get very much pressured on to mercs because you did it at the wrong time. So, the way your EMP works is quite simple. Light is on, EMP goes out, light turns off. Done deal. Now, let's get into a little more of the details and kind of break this thing down. So, if your merc's flashlight is off, your EMP will not disable it. The same can be said to all electronic light sources when in contact with your EMP. If they are off, they don't disable. This means you have to be very mindful of how and when you use your EMP. The effects of the EMP implies that it turns off electronic light sources, and it does. And it does way more than that depending on how many light sources are hit by your EMP. If a light source is on, like a flashlight or weapon flashlight, it will remove battery percentage from it if on when hit by your EMP. This percentage rate is 30, 40, and 50%, and the disable timer is 3, 5, and 7 seconds. This depends on how many light sources were hit, 1, 2, or 3 light sources, making it very useful in rooms where there are multiple light sources active and very beneficial to you to be using it at that moment. Now, a good follow-up from your partner would be to do a Scream Wave, and both of you dive the closest merc, killing him. Now, if you're pushing solo into a merc or into a merc duo and they're kind of separated, you want to hold your EMP for a second longer than you typically would to guarantee that flashlight disable. And the thing to remember that here is if you get that flashlight disable, be ready with your spit because the next thing that merc is going to pull out is a flare. Once that's done, you can get a ton of damage in on the merc at that moment. Again, using the Aliens kit is a lot like a Street Fighter combo. One of your most utility-based abilities is your scan. Your scan provides you with a ton of information, so use it as much as possible. Now, some of you may not understand how the scan works, and we're here to solve that for you today. So the scan has a very specific function within it, and what it does is it reveals to you trios first, duos second, solos last, as well as any last surviving members of a team. Now, the reason for this is to give those players a fighting and fair chance in the lobby without instantly being hunted by the alien. A thing to remember as the alien, when fighting mercs, light resources are super important. Their light hurts you. That's their ammo, right? That's their ammo. So what you want to do is you want to focus the ones that have the least amount of ammo. your trios. You want to focus the trios and kill the trios first. They have the least, they are the weakest. Your solos will be the strongest at the start of a raid, so you need to leave them for later. Save them for the end of the raid, basically. That way they would have dropped their light resources to gather loot. This also makes it more beneficial for you when you kill them later because they have more loot on them. That being said, the scan provides you with a ton of information. What this does is it helps you locate teams and mercs. It helps you figure out where they are. It helps your teammate see where he can go to flank around to get a good ambush going. You can also use your scan to kind of coerce and think of it like herding chickens. You can herd mercs into other merc teams and force a fight, and then third party that fight. So now the merc teams have to decide, do I want to use my flashlight to deal with the alien that's pushing me from behind, or do I want to focus on fighting the mercs in front of me? So again, it is one of the most useful utility tools you can have as an alien. So scan off cooldown. Now, onto your zoning tool, the Acid Cloud. This ability is a very, very useful zoning tool. Think of it similarly to like the aliens version of a flare, right? Mercs don't want to be in it. They won't willingly go near it. They won't willingly go into it. You can use this information to force mercs to separate apart, or you can finish off a merc that's trying to crawl to their buddies because he got downed. The Acid Cloud is a really good tool at preventing mercs from running away as well. Now, what does it do? Well, it provides a slow, as well as does 5 damage a second. As tick damage, the longer you're in it, or the more you're in it, you take 5 damage over time every second that you're in it. So using it is really, really good in closed off spaces, so like hallways, small rooms, things like that, while you beat on a merc. So it's an extra 5 damage a second on top of your swings. Really, really good. Again, honing back to using the alien's kit is a Street Fighter combo setup. You gotta combo your abilities. Another really, really important aspect of the Acid Cloud is you can use it to increase the separation of merc teams. So if there's a merc that's like slightly separated from their team, you can use your gas cloud to kind of increase that separation and isolate them further, allowing you to get damage in, possibly downing and or killing them before their team is able to get back and rescue them. Finally, onto your base abilities. Your invisibility, alien vision, and your regeneration. All of these abilities are super important. They're foundational to how you play the alien. However, they're all tied together for the most part. So we're going to discuss them together, starting with your invisibility. It's not really true invisibility. It's more of like a transparency kind of thing. In low light conditions, you're invisible, but like if there's any large source of light nearby and you're standing there invisible, you're pretty visible, my man. And if you go inside the light, you give off these white smoke effects that makes it so that you kind of give away your position at all times. And any source of damage will drag you out of that invisibility, and you'll take light damage and die. That being said, let's dive a little deeper into this invisibility thing. While you're invisible, you can use all of your abilities once. You can use one ability, and after that, you will have a 10-second timer where you're unable to do anything because you were invisible. So it's paramount you uncloak before doing anything. That being said, being invisible is really, really good for just general movement around. While you're running around, things are quieter. And if someone turns on a light, it'll burn your energy rather than your health bar, which energy gets back fairly quickly. Just uncloak, you get it back. Not a big deal. Now, the second key component to your abilities, your base abilities, is your alien vision. This one is super, super, super important to understand. Your alien vision helps you find vents faster, so you get those rotations down. If you can memorize what vents go where, you will have some of the fastest rotations to cut off merc movement. So you could be attacking a merc from behind and then go through a vent and pop out in front of them and attack them from the front, and they will not understand how you got there so quickly. You use the vents to your advantage. On top of this, your alien vision also shows you where energy eggs are, as well as power cables. Definitely keep an eye out for those. Obviously, the alien eggs glow yellow, and your power cables will have like this little ball lightning Tesla effect when you're near them. Finally, onto your regeneration. It is super, 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 super important that you are topped off on your health at all times. With flares, room lights, and flashlights having a very fast TTK on aliens, you need to be at full health at as often as possible. Every time I'm sitting on a cable and I'm waiting to recharge my energy, I heal. I top off my health. Why? Because I don't know where the next cable is, and I don't know if I'm going to need that extra 2 hit points on my dive. It's best to make sure that you are healthy at all times. That being said, if you're not near a power cable and you're just roaming the map, use your regen if you notice you're a little low in health. It doesn't hurt anything. You're looking or stalking a merc team or a merc, use your regen if you're not engaging on them and you have low health. Do it. It's not hurting anything. Now, before we dive back into our raids, let me give you a few more tips to help with your raid as alien. Energy eggs, if you're at max energy, your energy eggs will speed up the cooldown of all abilities. A good rule of thumb for engaging a team that is aware of your presence is what I call the one swipe rule. What this rule dictates is that you dive a team, swipe once, and leave, forcing them to use light resources that they otherwise would not have used, as well as getting in damage where you can. The alien is a war of attrition, in a way. And oftentimes it comes down to who can manage their resources the best. Once reset and at full health, dive again, swipe a merc. This hit and run playstyle maximizes your damage output while minimizing the light damage you receive when facing a team that is aware of your presence. Another tip to remember is always egg where you came from. The reason for this is because mercs love chasing the alien and will do so blindly most times. Use this greed and bloodlust to your advantage by running back through your own egg traps and opens a window for your teammate to strike them from behind. Anyways, this was a lot of information that I just gave you guys. I hope you guys were taking notes, and I hope I didn't just info dump on you guys and overwhelm you. That being said, expect another video similar to this one when mutations release for Alien, as we dive into the abilities that the alien gets with those, as well as how they will tie into the base kit abilities or the mechanics of the game here as well. If you have any tips you wish to share or have any more questions about Alien, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will answer them. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated, and it helps me out a ton. I will see you guys on the next video. Good luck in your raids.